booties for black girl nerds.
Thank you, ladies, so much for your time. I I enjoyed the show because it had so many themes of what Black professionals face in the workplace, what women face, camaraderie, career prioritization. There are just so many good things about the show, and I'm so excited to talk to you about all of them. Emayatzy, I'll begin with you. Something that struck me about Jax and how she maneuvered through her day-to-day life is how we're forced as Black women, Black people to code switch, to do all these things so we can be everything to everybody. When you look at her relationships with her varied colleagues and friend groups, what struck you most about the way she navigates through all of those worlds?
Well, she's aware. She's aware that there are times where it's like there's a time and place for everything. So she's aware of that. And at the same time, she is confident in who she is, and what she's capable of in her career and what she's done and what she's achieved. And so she knows she doesn't have to explain in that kind of way, or try to overcompensate in any kind of way. So Jax has an awareness of it. And with that awareness, there's the confidence. And so I think that's what makes it easy for her to navigate the different lanes without feeling as if she's losing or hiding any part of herself. They're both true. They're both real. And I think that that's the one little piece of code switching that, that is not always talked about or always explained. And I think that she nails that very well.
Absolutely. With that being oneself, Raamla, over to you. When I was talking to the trio of gentlemen early, Michael mentioned that you gave him some real specific instructions of how the dynamic between his and Jax's relationship was. He should feel a certain way. I don't want to say what he said so people can go back and watch. So when you were first meeting with all these wonderful people in the series, did you have a guiding principle or something that you each wanted each of them to highlight in different ways as they brought their characters to life?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I'm writing or writing scenes or just creating a show or thinking of characters, I really do try to think about what is what motivates them as people. All of us have kind of one thing that kind of motivates us or defines us as people. And so I always make sure I understand that because if you understand them about the character, then you understand how to create scenarios and how they're going to move, right? Versus letting the plot or story move them, right? And so for me, that's, as long as I know that, then when I'm talking to the actors about the scene or, just writing the scenes, I know what the scenes are, and it kind of comes out of me very naturally. And when it doesn't, then I know, okay, I haven't quite figured out something about the character. But the other part of it, to be honest, is that when I write, I do leave room for the acting because I really do feel like every step is important, right? Like it's a building block. So the writing is, I'm laying a foundation, and then the director and the actors are coming in and building upon that. And then we go and post, and that's a whole other element of things. And so I really do believe in everyone doing their job, like specialization in some ways. And what's great is that because the cast was so talented, from Emayatzy to McKinley, Michael, everyone was bringing something and so into the material and asking questions that it was nice to be on set. I'd be on set and I was like a fan, like watching what they were doing and moments that they added, and even some ad libs or, fun things that I kept in the show because it felt real and it felt natural. So I think, if Michael or anyone, asked me questions about it, I would come with it to character. I'd, tell the director in tone meetings, like what I wanted. But at the same time, I really do enjoy being surprised because I can't write what the actors and some of the stuff will just bring naturally sometimes. Like I said, lay a foundation, but I'm not going to be able to write the magic that they're going to bring on screen. So I don't try to. I try to just do my part and then let them do their part.
Well, they all did their parts beautifully. I'm an Inglewood native, so I appreciate all the
yes
The LA touches in it. Very nice. Very nice.
Mark ass Buster.
Man, that's LA to the
I'm from LA, so yes, as well.
All right, LA stand up. Thank you, ladies, for your time. I super enjoyed it, and I appreciate both of you talking to me. Thank you.
Oh yes, thank you so much. Nice meeting you.
Take care.
This is like Breakfast of Champions here. We've got all these great men who are in this great project together, but you guys never really interweave with each other during the course of the series. And I enjoyed all of your performances. Sean Patrick, beginning with you as Brayden, all of these men are drawn to Jax and her abilities, her method of being highly evolved and high performing, and their way to help her. What do you think is the biggest connection that Brayden in particular has to her, other than as providing him legal defense?
Well, what I love about it is that you can tell right off the bat in the first scene that Brayden has with Jax that he has like this thing with like Black women. Like he doesn't really know how to connect with or communicate with a Black woman that he thinks is maybe on his level. There's something about that he's not comfortable with, which I love playing. And so what I love is that like right off the bat, they challenge each other. He has to really like get over whatever his thing is, you know, and she has to get past what is obviously, you know, a guy with an issue, and try to like get down to business, you know. And so and that kind of it starts there, and it just kind of flowers from there into, to me, a very complex relationship that I think we had a lot of fun playing.
I thought it was awesome. You know, we don't have a lot of opportunities where we see highly evolved Black people in the corporate space interacting with each other. There's always these narratives that try to pit us against each other. But it's been interesting to see how that relationship has flourished. Like you mentioned, how it flowers throughout the course of the season. So people have to tune in to see that part. Michael, I'm going to ask that you refer to me as Inglewood for the rest of this interview, because that's where I'm currently at right now. So please, Inglewood, if you will. And with Damon, again, the reverse of that dynamic, when the stories are painted in the media, that it's usually the Black woman is up here, highly educated, highly evolved, and Black men are just struggling to get by and trying to latch on. That narrative is painted over and over again about Black men and Black women. What do you think is that connection that they see each other? What is that kinship that they can meet in the middle on?
Well, look here, Inglewood. I think the most, you know, one of the things that works for Jax and Damon is their origin story. And if you get to episode 5, you see the origin story of Jax and Damon, and you realize that everything all of a sudden starts to click, everything starts to gel, it makes sense that at one point these two were on the same level, and these two were really genuinely had a future. You know what I mean? They made a real connection. And so I think all of that starts to play. Once that starts to play, I think the dynamic between Jax and Damon becomes even more interesting, more significant. And, you know, I think it looms larger juxtaposed to the Jax and Lewis dynamic that's happening. So I think it's all about good writing, good timing, and showing how these characters actually, you know, yes, on the surface, it seems like, you know, there's this big gap between them. But one of the things that Raamla gave me from the beginning was, you have a power over her. From the moment you meet her, you have a power over her that gets her kind of, you know, it gets to her, it affects her, she's drawn to that. And you have to use that as much as possible. And it's more about seeing her for who she really is and where she's really from. And that ultimately, in the story, in the scheme of the whole season, will be much more magnified by the end of the show.
And McKinley, lastly, for you quickly, for Lewis, it's like the middle, and she's trying to be all things to all people, and he is trying to support her and her endeavors, their family, make it work, but for some reason it's not clicking. What do you think of their dynamic and why it might not be clicking as it should?
Well, I think the greatest thing about them is they're not unequally yoked. We just don't know what the balance of that yoke is. And I think one of the great things is there's a reason why people end up together. And I think part of over the course of the season is you start to see why it works and why it doesn't. And I think that's indicative of most people's lives. So the challenge and the interesting thing is, how are these two people that we've been following going to try to figure it out with all these things going on? And that to me is a product of good writing, talented brothers like the ones on the screen and sisters like the ones everybody you're going to see, all the folks behind the camera. And I think that's what's going to make this special, is because we're all figuring it out every day. They're literally trying to figure out every episode. And I think that's the compelling part, because it's really, we've all been there.
I just want to say, I think the show is so dope that I found myself rooting for Jax and Lewis. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, and I find myself not rooting for Damon at all. So it's like one of those things. I don't know. It's like a one-way street, that one, Michael. I don't know what to tell.
I feel like that was personal, though, McKinley. I feel like that was personal. I don't feel like that was on the page.
No, but hold on. To your point, though, there is something very real that even on the other side, as much as I look at your relationship, there's a part of me that's still rooting for that brother to figure it out just somewhere else.
Yeah.
Somewhere, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I'm rooting for all of you because I loved it. I hope everyone loves it as well. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, you guys. Thank you so much for your time. It's good to see you both.
Nice to meet you.
Wow.
Thank you. Likewise. Well, Reasonable Doubt, I had a really good time enjoying this. I love the dynamics of all the players. I like the soapy quality to it. Friendship. There's a lot of great themes to play in within the show. Angela, beginning with you, the way that both of your characters interact with Jax is very different from how the men in her life interact with her. What do you think, Angela? What do you think your character and Jax have that makes them mesh, I'd say, well, or work together well? What is that chemistry between them?
I think there's, between Jax and Christal, is mutual respect for each other, that we're allowed to challenge each other because we both know we want the best for each other. I think Christal is a great sounding board for Jax, especially in the work environment where she's already challenged just by status. My character, Christal's not afraid to tell her the truth, even if that's challenging, because I actually care about Jax, the whole Jax, not just work Jax. So I think that their relationship is beautiful and complex, but I think that it's a way that we can observe how women support other strong women.
Absolutely. And for Tim, over to you for Daniel. They work well together. Jax is his boss, but she has a way of leading him where it can be heavy-handed, but it's not disrespectful. It's very straightforward what she wants him to accomplish and just how they interact with each other. What do you think Daniel provides for her that the other people in her life can't? Because he's the most different of her immediate environment from everyone else.
I think it speaks highly to Jax's kind of personality that she would bring in someone like Daniel into her work environment, because she's already facing so much in that law firm. She's already fighting an uphill battle as a Black woman, but for her to bring in somebody that looks like a punky little guy that's as her PI, she could find someone that's more polished to come and do the job, but she knows. Well, beyond the respect that she knows that Daniel can get the job done, it's almost like Daniel himself is like, like the middle finger to the law firm. It's like, I'm gonna bring in this guy who I love, who makes me smile, and who I can rely on to be the top of this law firm, and this is my guy to do it. It shows that Jax, like she's not the typical kind of lawyer. She likes the eccentricities, and she appreciates it, and she knows. She's no fool, so she knows how to get what she needs, but she likes to look in the places that no one else is going to look.
What I really appreciated about what both of you or characters dynamic with her is she has this way of seeing people beyond the surface compared to like all of you, your characters, the gentleman. She just has this tremendous insight into people and can see that those good, important qualities to people and bringing together a team. Angela, back over to you for Christal. This was a fun role. You know, I like seeing the sister dynamic, that realness, that, you know, you can have a woman in a lead position and have a subordinate and it not be catty and it's just not ridiculous. What are your thoughts on how these two Black women are depicted on screen and what we can take away from their dynamic?
I love Christal and Jax's relationship. It just, and it translated to Emayatzy's and my relationship, that we can be put into challenging situations and come out on the other side and not be bloodied and bruised and beat up. Like, it's okay to have hard conversations about important matters and for us to communicate with love in order to find a solution. And I think that there is beauty in that. So I'm really proud to get to play Christal and support Jax the way that I get to in this show.
Yeah, we'll leave the bloody and bruised to Daniel, okay? We'll leave that to him.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for your time. This is a really fun series. I love the soapiness of it. So thank you so much.
Better shake your booties for Black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for Black girl nerves.